So welcome to the S2 show, Gav. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
You are the LinkedIn fitness guru, and you were formerly a male stripper, which you were very open about. And I mean, LinkedIn is doing amazing things for your business, it seems. Tell me, why did you start using social media for your business?
I mean, who isn't using social media really for business? I mean,
Eh,
the great thing with LinkedIn, there's not many people in the fitness industry on LinkedIn because they don't know the power of it, and two, it's not very sexy, is it? It's not the gram.
Right.
So you know, everyone wants the visual, and LinkedIn, originally was for recruiting, wasn't it? Recruiting, and obviously lots of B2B. So I actually, I can't remember, I won't mention the guy's name, but there's a so-called fitness influencer that's quite big in the UK, and he just recently mentioned about 3 or 4 weeks ago on a post, he helps people build their fitness business online. And someone had said, what do you think to LinkedIn as a platform for business? And he said, yeah, maybe there's a couple of clients on there, but I wouldn't spend too much time. And I was like, you keep saying that, my friend, because even though there's unlimited business for everyone on LinkedIn, the less people on there, the better. But I've been telling my friends, my colleagues in this industry for the last 3 or 4 years, and they're like, yeah, whatever. Slowly, they're kind of realizing that if you think about most of the people that buy maybe personal training or coaching, they're on LinkedIn, aren't they? So why would you not pitch your fitness business on LinkedIn? People just don't seem to, I didn't even start posting on LinkedIn until 4 years ago. I didn't even know you could post on LinkedIn. I was on there about 10 years, but I had about 2,000 connections. And most of those connections were people in my industry. And it was a coach I worked with. He said, have you thought about LinkedIn? I said, I've never posted on LinkedIn in my life. And once I got into it and realized the power of it, yeah, I mean, I would say 95% of my business is from LinkedIn.
That's crazy. It's interesting. I'm constantly finding that I'm pulling teeth trying to explain to people how powerful LinkedIn is. And you know what? Good for us that they don't get it, right? Like
It's
you can
great.
be the fitness guru on LinkedIn. Let it be that
That's
way,
it.
Gav.
I'm happy to take over that lead, that moniker for sure. I mean, you
Right.
know, there's there's loads of people out on Instagram doing, obviously Facebook, all the other platforms, YouTube, of course, YouTube's huge. There's just not that many people doing fitness and nutrition, not in a
Yeah.
big way. So I just ran with what I've been doing. The video has been working really, really well for me. And yeah, and it's funny you said that. Obviously I do like to get my ideas across, but I do like to make people laugh at the same time. That's my whole angle.
Right.
I didn't intentionally, it didn't go there. It didn't intentionally, right, I'm going to try and make people laugh. But what I have realized in business, if you can deliver results and put a smile on people's face at the same time, people will pay money for that. Because look, there's, especially the last year, there's a lot of fucking doom and gloom in the world. And yeah, you know what? It will annoy some people. My message and the way it will piss people off. But what I've realized again in business, and you'll know this, if you're true to yourself, if you're 100% yourself all times, you're going to repel the people that will never work with you anyway, but you're massively going to attract the people that do want to work with you. And when you do, that's when you make money.
Absolutely. And yeah, you're a bit of a comedian on there. And originally I wanted to really do something fun and funny because I am not a comedian. I'm very straightforward and to the point, but you do a very good job at making jokes out of fat loss and really what your average person considers to be appropriate for diet and exercise. So I like how you debunk some of our myths in a funny way. And speaking of
Appreciate
that,
that.
you did something recently. We were talking about, what our opinions are on fat. Like you are not fat is kind of what your title was. Can you talk about that subject for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. It's an important one, and that annoyed a few people. I actually had a
I
couple of,
bet.
because what it is, it's all about self-limiting beliefs, and this is the same for fat loss, or making money, or business, or even relationships. But let's look at it in the theory of nutrition and fat loss. We know that the subconscious mind is very, very powerful, and if you say something out loud or even think it, like, I'm really fat, I can never lose weight, these things don't work for me, and that you can fill in the blanks for money. I can never find a girlfriend, or all the best looking guys are gone or married, or oh, you need money to make money, all these self-limiting beliefs that many of us have in different areas of our life. So when someone's fat or because I'll rephrase that, when someone's got weight to lose, they're overweight, they're obese, whatever you want to call it, a lot of these people, not all of them, but nearly all of them, and it's working with clients for the last 20 years, they've got very low self-esteem. Their confidence has taken a knock. They've always been that fat person. So their social life is around being people that are overweight, maybe that drink a lot, eat a lot. How many people you know in your life that are maybe overweight, yet they're always funny and they're happy, they're the jovial personality, which is all a facade. It's all a bullshit facade. And that's not to say they're bad people. They've just got used to protecting themselves. So they're that happy-go-lucky, and when someone makes a joke out of them being overweight, whatever, they don't care. But deep inside, not everyone, I'm not speaking for everyone, so anyone that's listening or watching, I'm not always talking to you, I'm just generalizing here. A lot of people are overweight inside. They're like, I would do anything to get rid of this weight. If someone's got a serious weight problem, they've probably tried everything. And I say that in quotes because they haven't tried everything. They think they've tried everything. But so when they tell themselves, I'm fat, whatever you say, and my whole point of that post was your subconscious mind is always eavesdropping on your thoughts.
Yep.
And we're all guilty of them. Whether you say it out loud or think it to yourself, you will create that. You will create your own result. I'm fat. I've always been fat. And your subconscious will go out its way to prove you right. So what will happen? The person that's overweight or fat, as they like to call themselves, they'll try a diet, and the chances are it won't be one that works for them because they haven't got the skills, whether it's skill set or mindset. So that again, there's another example of failure. So what they say to themselves, see, I tried it, it didn't work for me. I'm fat. I've always been fat. So it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy. These self-limiting beliefs just get proven over and over again. So you've got to be very careful of your language externally and internally. And we're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. Like you've got insecurities, however well you're doing in life, you've got insecurities. I've got insecurities, might not be as many as someone else, but we've all got them. A billionaire from the outside, someone that hasn't got money, they might look at a billionaire and think he's got everything or she's got everything. I don't want to be sexist. They've got everything going for them. But you know what? If you've got $1 billion in the bank, you've got $1 billion problem to look after every day. You've got maybe 1,000 companies to look after, or 5,000 team members to look after, or you've got a wife that doesn't like you, or who knows what goes on in someone's life. We've all got these insecurities. So it's just being aware of your internal dialogue, because what you say and believe, you will manifest in the present. So if you're constantly saying I'm this or I can't do that, no one ever got results by saying I can't do that.
Right.
No one. You can't get results. It doesn't mean to say that you say I can do that and it miraculously happens. You can't just manifest something. You've still got to work your ass off and take action and be focused and be there for the right opportunities that come around. But here's the thing, when you say I can do that, or you're open to that, funny enough, the right opportunity comes along, or you meet the right person that can help you do this, or it's like a growth mindset to a closed mindset. And you know exactly what I'm talking about that.
Sure, it's true. And I think it's so funny that you got so much pushback on that, because really all you are saying is change your thought process, change what you say to yourself. Right. Yeah. But I think we're so
I actually had someone message me, Steph. Is it Steph or Stephanie? Steph?
Either one. Steph is good. Yeah.
Steph is good. Okay. Someone messaged me, and it was, funnily enough, it was someone that was quite obese. And she said, I know you think you're helping the situation, but you're actually making it worse, and you're fat shaming.
Wow. We're so sensitive right now,
So sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so I want to touch on that, because you bring up some really amazing conversation pieces really with this topic, so let's talk about the fact that we're so sensitive to all this stuff that's going on, he, she, all these things, fat, not fat, but we're not even talking about what's really happening with this underlying health crisis. Right. So I know that there are a lot of people talking about the fact that most people who have been affected by COVID are obese. And we're not talking about the fact that we need to really think about our health. So, I mean, that's a subject that I guess no one wants to approach because we're so sensitive.
It's with this sensitive. You've seen my video on sensitive snowflakes, and the cancel culture, and
Yeah.
it's just gone ridiculous. And I know we've got to be careful, but you're right. People are scared. I mean, first of all, COVID's a very emotive topic. Full stop, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you can't say that. It's weird. Someone had put a post up saying that they'd gone for their second injection, the
Yeah.
vaccination, and I don't know what your views are, and I don't care whether you're one way or the other. I said personally, it's not for me. I believe that I can look after my own health, and I get loads of people unfollowing me, and it wasn't me saying I'm pro this or against. I just said it's just not for me.
Right.
But you're right. The governments are not focusing on what really is the issue here. Like, if you look at the statistics, as you said, and you've got to be careful, the vast majority of people that have died from this are obviously the very unwell, very elderly, and the obese population.
Yeah.
So rather than focusing, I'm not saying I'm not going either way. I don't want to be drawn into it. I'm not saying I'm pro-vaccine or against it. I'll leave that to other people. But what the government aren't doing, they should be saying, get everyone to the gym, get everyone to lose 30, 40 pounds, look after your health. If you look after this, make this a priority, the chances of you actually, one, getting it and two, dying for it, I don't know the actual stats, but it's going to be massively improved.
I know.
And that's been proven.
Right.
There's so many things we can do for that. Yeah.
Right. It's just strange to me that it's not something that's being talked about more, because I feel like we were in this progressive place where, from me growing up as a child to, now being an adult, I was lucky enough to have parents that were health conscious, right? So I was always, I became a pescatarian at 18 years old. So I was always into understanding it. But as I've gotten older, you see like McDonald's now has more health options. Like, so we're slowly becoming more health conscious, but I don't think we're talking about like the root of what's really happening here. So that's scary to me.
Well, it is. We're talking about how much does this vaccine cost? Billions, right? And we look, again, not to debate whether it works, whether you should have it or not. How about prescribing every person on the planet a quality vitamin and mineral supplement? How about giving everyone fish oils? How about giving everyone vitamin D? How about prescribing sunshine every day? How about just someone getting a grip of saying, look, there's 10 things here you could do for your health. If you do these, you probably wouldn't need the other 5 or 6 drugs that half of the world are on in the first place. And problem with the health service, I know you guys work very, very differently. We've got the National Health Service. You're all private, you've got to pay. So unfortunately, if you've got the money, you can get better treatments. If you haven't, it's tough. We're lucky that everyone just gets free treatments. But the reality is, the medical profession are extremely good at saving someone's life. If I got hit by a car right now, the ambulance takes me to the hospital, saved my life. Okay, we're absolutely needed for emergency care. Yeah, what the medical profession are very bad at, and again, I don't know the full answer to this, and I'm not blaming doctors or the system. I'm blaming the system. Is I go to the doctor, and straight away he writes me a prescription. It's write me a pill for the answer. Like, if I went in and said I had a bad back, okay, here's a pill. How about, okay, Gab, why don't you try and lose 30 pounds? Or are you drinking enough water? Are you moving your body? Have you done some stretching? Like, there's probably 10 things you can do to alleviate that back pain. But no, because of the system, the doctor will prescribe a pill for that ill,
Absolutely.
And it's not necessarily the one that would even work the best. It's the one that the medical profession have been told to promote.
Right.
So it's all about this.
I know.
It's all about this. And a cynical viewpoint might even suggest that the world needs people to be sick because it makes the economy go round. Look, the Americans are the biggest ones of this, like the opioid crisis, like the people that are getting prescribed drugs left, right, and center, the billions and billions of dollars spent every year in the drug world. It's one of the biggest industries in the world, behind probably energy or something else. I don't know. I'm just making that up.
No,
but it's you know, it's and I don't blame anyone individually, but it's the system.
Yeah.
And generally people will say, okay, you've got something wrong with you, take this drug. Now, what about all the side effects from the drug? How about we do things naturally? So it's we're getting there slowly,
Yeah.
but it's very, very slow. Very, very
It
slow.
is. It is. And I'll say that in America, I feel like we are more progressive than some places. Like Australia is extremely progressive, in my opinion. But I feel like we are the most obese. But, my mother's from Dublin, Ireland. And when I go there and I visit family, we're eating, fried fish and chips, and we're having heavy, heavy foods, so
Yeah.
it's like, it's funny to me. I don't know. Do you know the statistic are we in America more obese than you're in London, right?
Yeah, you are, and Mexico.
And
They're
Mexico.
they're the top two. I think Mexico might even be number one now. Don't quote me on that, but it's up
Yeah.
there. I think they were close to pushing it. That the thing with you guys, with Americans, you've got the best of everything. You can, if you want to get the worst food and massive portions and sizes.
Yeah.
I love America, and when I go over there, I always cringe. I'm like, when the Americans come to Europe, they must think they're being starved because our portions are
Your
so much smaller.
portions. You think that's
Especially
the biggest difference?
not necessarily in UK, but more on the continent, like in France or Italy. The
Yes.
portions are quite reserved, which is
Hmm.
again another debate for another time. But why French can eat a lot of high fat food, yet the women don't tend to put weight on.
Right.
So portions are much smaller. But the
Hmm.
Mexico and America, everything's so big. But you can also go the other way. Like in America, you can get, like, if you ask for an egg white omelette in London, they would look at you like you had two heads. They'd be like, what? Yeah, you go into an IHOP or somewhere. I just threw that out there because I just happen
Yeah.
to know it. You can get anything.
Right.
You can,
If
and
you choose
it's,
it, if you
if you
choose to
choose it,
choose
you
it.
can see if it's not on the menu in Europe, you can't get it. Like
Right.
wherever it says on the menu, that's what you can get. You can't go off plan.
Right.
There's the difference between. Um, but yeah, America's it's a massive obesity problem, but we're not far behind. I think the
Right.
UK are up there, and Europe are chasing. But I think, is it 1 in 4, 1 in 3 worldwide
I
are
think so.
obese now? Something like that,
Yeah.
something crazy. Whether it's 25% or 30%, it's a ridiculous statistic.
Right. So we talk about like working out and fitness not being so health related in most people's opinions. They're more thinking that it's just this vanity thing. So I happen to totally disagree because I'm all about being healthy. But like, how did you decide to do this with your life? Because I know your story is very interesting. Can you tell me, how did you go from being the male stripper to doing what you're doing now?
Well, it was actually, that was my brief interlude in the middle of fitness. Well, I say brief, it was 16, 17 years. So yeah, I'll give you the backstory. So I was into sport all my life, like
Mhm.
from age 6 or 7, played everything: football, rugby, cricket, any bat or anything. I was obsessed by sport. Got that from my dad. And age 15, I don't know if they do this in America, but we do. Before you do your exams, they send the kids out on work experience, maybe like a
Mhm.
week, go and
Yes.
spend some time in an office or insurance company or a bank or
Take
something
your
similar.
child to work day. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that type of
Yeah.
thing. Yes. So where everyone else went to the gym, sorry, to the bank or a traditional business in the high street, I went to a gym. I was just obsessed by, this is a true story. This is late 80s now. Madonna came to London. And I actually saw her in 1990, but she used to
Love
famously,
Madonna. Love
yeah,
Madonna.
back in the day, yeah. So
Yes.
she used to famously run around Hyde Park, and she had these two sort of personal trainer stroke bouncer guys
Mhm.
next to her. She was tiny, these big guys in tight t-shirts with personal trainer across the back. I saw them and I thought, you know what? I could be a personal trainer. I'm into training, into fitness. Maybe I'll be a personal trainer to the stars. That was my kind of inspiration. And this is 88, 89. And I went and did my work experience in the gym. And so ever since then, I said, right, okay, this is what I want to do. Did my degree in sports and exercise science. But just before I went to university, so I was 18 or 19 years old, I'd seen, I was working in a gym part time before I went to university as a fitness instructor. And I'd seen this advert on the staff notice board for auditions for a show called Blind Date, which was have you heard of the show? Do you know
I
the
think
show?
so. Yeah.
Okay, so in the early 90s, this was the number one, I guess the closest thing to a reality TV
Reality.
that we had
Right.
in the 90s. Yeah. And the premise of the show was either a girl would be behind a screen and there'd be three guys, and she would ask these questions, three questions, and from the answers, they would choose the date. So I auditioned to go on the show. So when I went to the first audition, I said, "How could I make sure I have to be on TV?" I was one of those wannabes. If you see the ones out there now,
Way. I can't
I
believe
would have, I would have done anything to get
that.
on
Okay.
TV, and I thought I'm going to be famous. This is it. I'm going to, it obviously didn't happen. What I did is I
You're pretty
bullshitted my,
famous on LinkedIn.
yeah, but okay, on LinkedIn, but that's about it. Small audience. Um, and so I said, how can I ensure I get on this show? So I told her I was a stripper. I said I've been doing it about 6 months, and you guys call it a bachelorette party, don't you, over there?
Yeah.
We call it a hen party. So about 3 weeks before the blind date audition, I'd actually been for an audition to be a stripper, you know, but I hadn't had my first job, but I knew it was something I was going to do.
Right.
So I thought, okay, so I told a small white lie just to kind of make sure I got on there. And I made some bullshit up, went through 3 auditions, got on the show. And that was that. About 3 or 4 weeks after the show aired, I went to university for 3 years to do sports science.
Mm-hmm.
So I got on my degree with a view to coming out and going into full time into personal training, nutrition. In the meantime, I'd done 6 months of doing stripograms, as we call them, or bachelorette parties, and it was so much fun, great money, all the extras you can think of.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend took over my job as I went to university and started working with this strip troupe. And I remember this conversation clear as anything. 2 weeks before the end of my degree, you had to hand in your 10,000 word dissertation. And he called me up and he said, "Gav, we've been offered a 12-week tour, Belgium, the Netherlands, or Germany, all over, 12 weeks, amazing money, 4 or 5 shows a week, big stadium tour." I said, "Great, but I've got to do my, dissertation. It's due in 2 weeks." I said, "When do you need to know?" He said, "Today." I went, "Fuck it, I'm in."
Oh my God.
Simple as that. So I jacked my degree in, didn't do my dissertation, went on this tour, which collapsed after 11 days, and we didn't get paid. So I had to go back to the UK with my tail between my legs and say, "Mum, I've jacked my degree in and I didn't make any money." And that was the start. So that would have been 96. I did it full time until 2008. But I started doing it in 93. So really from 93 to 2008, it was that was my career. And
Oh,
age
wow.
35, went to London, thought, you know what, I need to use my brain instead of brawn.
Your body, right?
So I said in my body, yeah. So went back, I got back into the gym, went full time as a personal trainer in London. I guess the equivalent to say Wall Street in New York, the financial district.
Yeah.
Great area in London.
Yeah.
That was 2008, and then got into the online stuff that I'm doing now, only online about 3.5 years ago.
That's
So
great.
that's my 25
Yeah.
years into about 5 minutes.
Nice. I like it though. And I like that you always knew you wanted to do this because I mean, there's passion behind it. You can tell with the things that you do and talk about that you are passionate about it. And
Definitely.
I struggle a little bit with, I really like that in-person thing, but I think the age of being able to have personal training done virtually is here. We've been here for a while, but now even more. It's like, can you talk about how do you work with your clients from a virtual perspective?
Yes, it's a good question. And I get a lot of people, potential clients, that say, "I prefer that in person," but let me explain the difference between coaching and personal training. And this is not a knock against personal trainers, because I've done that for 10, 15 years. I was doing a little bit of, the difference between a personal trainer and a coach. A personal trainer is really, you're being paid by the hour by the client, and you're really telling them what to do in the gym. So you're almost babysitting them. Like you tell, okay, do 10 reps, 10
I have
lunges.
one. Yes. Totally babysitting.
Don't get me wrong.
No, it's totally babysitting though. It is.
But Steph, how long have you been with that trainer? How long?
A long time.
Okay. Do you like him or her?
I do. I like the
Is he
accountability of it.
okay?
That's
But
why it's good for
are
me.
you good friends with that trainer?
I would say that I definitely like him, but we're
Yeah.
not really good friends.
No.
But
Okay. Well,
I mean, we're friends, but
we're
in a
friendly.
different
Yeah,
way. He's
friends.
like one of my
Different way. Yeah.
doctors. He's like my
Yeah.
doctor.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, you build up a good relationship with
Sure.
that person, and that's why
Absolutely.
it's personal training.
Yes.
The problem with that is you can become very complacent, and it's almost like, I'm seeing my trainer today 3 4 times a week, and
Right.
it's routine. You pay them each month or in a block of sessions, maybe like 12 or 24 I used to
Right.
charge. The difference between that and coaching is that, look, the adults that I work with, guys and girls in their 40s and above,
Hmm.
mostly, they don't need me babysitting them. What they want is results.
Yep.
So if I can tell people or show people how to do this on their own, so they make the decision themselves, they can do workouts from home, they can go to the gym, I'll help them with that. But what I work on is fixing what goes on in their head. We talked about the
Hmm.
self-limiting beliefs.
Right.
If someone's 300 pounds, it's very difficult and uncomfortable for them to go to the gym, not physically, but mentally.
Yeah.
Like, if there's guys like you, like me in the gym that look good, take care of ourselves. If you're 300 pounds, do you want to be sweating
No.
in a gym? Okay, but do you want to learn? It's more powerful that I can show someone, okay, am I going to eat that bowl of Doritos or am I not?
Hmm.
Do I have to not eat carbs or not have any drinks? If when someone's really, really overweight, they're torturing themselves in their head. They're torturing themselves,
Yep.
and it's a daily struggle. They get up and they don't like themselves, and it's this constant battle with food.
Right.
So I'm not saying that personal training doesn't work. It does. It massively works, but you're very limited to what I can do with a client, because
Of course.
I'm there with them 3 hours a week. But with coaching, if I can show someone how to change their own behaviors,
Yeah.
that's with them for life.
Absolutely.
And when someone can empower themselves, the problem with personal training is that many people think, I've got a trainer 3 times a week, that's all I need to do. The other 23 hours of the day, they ignore, they eat what they want, and it doesn't matter, I'm going to train it off tomorrow when I see my trainer.
Right.
With coaching, there's no hands-on. There's actually limited contact. There's a few coaching calls, there's modules that they work with, there's a group coaching call I'd run once a week for my clients, but the results have gone through the roof.
Yeah.
The difference between coaching and training is vast. It doesn't even compare. It's not even, and again, that's nothing against personal trainers, because I did that for years myself.
Yeah.
But, and you've had coaches, you're a coach, you work with people. The difference between someone that's you're chucking $70 an hour to a coach that's going to change how you think about food and how you think about your own self-worth, that's the difference between coaching and personal training. Does that
Yeah.
make
And
sense?
it absolutely does. And
Right.
you just touched on something that's really personal for me. So, you talk about being overweight and this torture that we have in our minds. I really believe that it stemmed from like hormones, because our hormones are so out of whack. We're so unbalanced when we're overweight, whether that's 5 pounds overweight, 10 pounds, or 300 pounds, right? So it's this chemical imbalance. So
Definitely.
for me, I was a pescatarian at a very young age. So I cut out as dairy as well very early on. Of course, I like a little bit of cheese and whatever. We all have our little things. But I started training with a trainer a couple of years ago, and I really wanted to start having more muscle because I felt that I was very thin, and I never really tried to like work out in this way. So the first thing that she wanted me to do was change the way that I eat. So in her mind, there was this one quick flip for everyone that it applied to every one of her clients, which, as you know, and I'd like to hear your opinion, that is not true. We're all different. Our bodies are wired chemically differently. So what happened for me was I gained a ton of weight. I started eating meat. The hormones from the chicken had me out of whack. The first thing that happened was my shoulders, like I had shoulder pads. We make a joke about it now, and we say that I was like John Cena, right? So because I just puffed up, I'm wearing my sports bra for you today to have our workout discussion, because this is really, I really want to hear your input here. So
Yeah.
there's this thing that happened for me where I didn't want to go to the gym anymore because I was like, I was uncomfortable in my own skin. So what I want to ask is there a one-stop trick for every single person in terms of their diet? Because I don't believe that there is.
Well, there's no doubt that the sources of food will have a very different reaction to different people. So, but what there is one thing that is true, and you probably heard me talk about it. You've heard me mention the calorie deficit, and that is where you're burning more calories than you're taking in. Now, if you look at every diet on the planet, I'll just name a couple off the top of my head. Let's look at keto, vegan, South Beach, high carb, low carb, high protein, whatever you want to call it. And you've got to be very Atkins, like they all work by one mechanism and one mechanism only, by the person burning more calories than they take in. Now, how you make up those calories obviously depends on the diet. So obviously, if you look at a vegan diet, it's no animal products, but it's still calories. Now, you can be fat on a vegan diet. You can gain weight on a vegan diet. And many vegans do, because if they consume more calories than they're burning, I don't care how vegan the food is or non-animal or healthy. Health's got nothing to do with losing fat. Right? They usually go hand in hand, but you can be quite healthy yet still struggle with your body fat because you're consuming more calories. So you're right. You have to find the right approach in terms of the food. Like some people just want to eat fish, or dairy doesn't work for them, or the hormonal side will you're absolutely right. But what doesn't change, unless they're literally a 1 in 7 billion, is your body will only lose body fat if you're in a calorie deficit. Now, someone says, I'm eating really healthy, but I just can't lose weight. By definition, they're not in a calorie deficit, because if they were, they would lose weight. When someone says, well, I'm watching my calories, it's still not working. Well, then you're not watching them close enough. You're not tracking them. You because it's simple maths.
It's just the portion size. Reduce that portion size. Yeah.
I've never met anyone, even someone with so-called slow metabolism, which might be underactive thyroid gland, or even a medical condition that makes them gain weight a lot easier. And that can happen. Now, hormonal differences, absolutely, particularly with women. Particularly women going through the menopause, or even you guys, time of the month, it can massively have these fluctuations. That said, even with some or PCOS, which is a condition, that polycystic ovary syndrome, it can cause fluctuations in hormones. That said, if someone controls the calories, they'll lose weight. It might be slower. So when someone uses a medical condition, this is why I can't lose weight, I call bullshit.
Yeah. And so what you're saying is so great, though, because that trainer that I was working with, for whatever reason, told me that in order to get what I wanted, which was have a little more muscle in my arm, and I wanted to have a little bit, more of a butt, right? I needed to start eating close to 4,000 calories a day. And for my whole life,
4,000.
It was unbelievable. So she wanted me to consume a whole bowl of oatmeal in the morning, like a giant bowl of oatmeal, and then add chicken into my diet and all these things. And my body went crazy trying to follow this, protocol. And she looked incredible. So I thought, well, I can follow her direction here. But she'd been eating this way and doing this for a very long time. So I'm not clear on how maybe her body was working like more, or she was able to burn more. I have no idea, but I think it created this confusion for me, because I started researching. I'm like, how is it that you can eat all of this food and gain muscle and then be leaner? Like, I'm looking up, like, does my body get smaller soon? Like, I'm trying to figure out all these terms, but it's not complicated. It's just this simple rule.
Well, the reality is you were just eating far too many calories. So the weight training you were doing was going to put weight on for you. So look, it's tricky for you guys. When I say you guys, ladies, it's hard for you to build muscle. It's very hard, because you've got, on average, 16th of the amount of testosterone that the average guy has,
Mm-hmm.
which is the primary hormone, sorry, for building muscle, burning fat. As you know, you guys run on estrogen. That said, testosterone is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So any muscle that you guys get, and that's, we're looking at 1 or 2 pounds, that's all it needs,
Right.
will make you nice and shapely, help you burn body fat. But the only way to gain muscle for you guys is to do weight training. However, if you put too many calories in, you're going to put weight on. So so I've got a lot of ladies that, how much do you weigh, Steph?
So, well, that was my next topic. I weigh about 125.
125. So I'm just working out, what's that, about 50, 55 kilos, something like that. And
I'm not sure.
50,
Right. You're on the other side of the spectrum.
I'll work this out. I'll work it out right now for you, just so I can give you the formula that I use.
Yeah.
125 divided by 2.2. Yeah, 56 kilos.
Okay.
So we'll round it up to 60 for the argument's sake. There's a formula I like to use. So I would like you to aim, if you were a client, for building lean muscle, for roughly 2 grams of 1.5 to 2 grams of protein per kilo of muscle. So if you're 55 kilos, we're looking at about 100 to 110 grams of protein per day.
Mm-hmm.
That would build muscle. But we also want to control the carbs, control the fat. So we probably, I mean, do you know how many calories you eat at the moment? Any idea?
I am very like food conscious in terms of when my body is hungry, I will eat a portioned meal where I have protein that's the size of my palm, and I have like 2 handfuls of vegetables, and I eat so clean. And it's funny, like I'll let you finish before I start talking about this, but I'm very aware of what my body needs. So I don't really count calories. I just eat when I'm hungry, and when I'm not and I feel bored, I drink a lot of water. So it's hard for me to say.
Yeah, absolutely. But it sounds like you're quite in tune with your body, and that's fantastic. And here's the thing: people say, "Do I have to count calories to lose body fat?" No, it's just for most people, it's like tracking your money.
Right.
For most people, it's just a tool.
Yes,
it's just a tool. But do you have to do it? Absolutely not. I don't track my calories, but I instinctively know, intuitively know. Like, you're right. I have a portion of protein. Then if I'm training hard, I'm gonna have some carbohydrates, but then it's vegetables, salad. So you're doing exactly what I would do and what most people eventually can learn to do.
Right.
But if
you need to count first.
Absolutely. If you're 260 pounds, your last 10 years, no one becomes 260 pounds
overnight
by accident, overnight. That's 10 years. Like, maybe that's 80 pounds someone has to lose. They've gone out their way. They've eaten like shit for the last 10 years to get there.
Yeah.
You don't do it on accident.
Right.
So for them, tracking, it's like if I said to you, right, Steph, I want you to save 20 grand as quickly as possible, but I'm not going to tell you how much income you're going to have coming in or when it's coming in, or I'm not going to tell you your mortgage, your bills, your healthcare. Like, how would you know how to balance those books? You wouldn't have a clue.
Yep.
That's what people do with food. They've no idea of the nutritional value they're taking in, and they just eat the food, but it tastes good. The Doritos, the crisps, the biscuits, the muffins, the chocolate. We all love this food. It tastes great.
We love it.
The calories. So why am I getting fat? They don't understand the calorie value of anything.
Yeah.
They don't know, they're taking the wrong stuff. It's just lack of education around that.
Well,
so
I used to think that I was healthy, right? So I mentioned earlier, like, I was lucky to have parents that were very health conscious, right? Meaning they always had vegetables around, and we drank almond milk. You know what I mean? Like, those basic things.
Yeah.
So when I started in corporate America, I was traveling. And as you know, I'm sure you have lots of clients who that's one of their struggles. Maybe they have this job that requires traveling or lots of maneuvering their schedule. So it's hard for them to have this steady, I'm in the gym 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, whatever. So I would do a lot of eating of like Cliff bars and protein bars, right? Because I thought that this was my way of being healthy. And when I could, I would get a salad or, whatever. So as I progressed in my health conscious, ways, I realized that I was never healthy. So one protein bar, the amount of sodium is out of this world. Like I don't eat that much sodium in an entire week now. So my health has completely changed, and being in tune with my body is what did it. So like now I hardly have like sauce at home. Like when I have something that's high in sodium, I'm sick. So like your body starts to get used to being so healthy, then like your body will tell you, like you just had one too many Doritos on cheat day, your body is going to be angry with you. So like there's a real shift in that, right?
But many people don't recognize this. And interesting came into my head as you said that. One of the classic signs, people, when they think they're hungry, they're actually dehydrated. And again, not everyone, but many people have got a lot of weight to lose that are obese. When I speak to a lot of my clients, I say, how much water are you drinking? And they're drinking very little water.
Yeah.
And when one of the first signs, people think they're going to be thirsty if you're thirsty, you're actually way dehydrated.
Right.
But one of the first signs is they start to get hungry. So people that are overweight, they don't recognize that. So they think, I'm hungry, I need to eat, because they've got this signal from the brain that tells them. And also when you're obese, there's a couple of hormones that are interesting called leptin and ghrelin. There are hunger hormones. When you're obese, it skews them. So you've got one hormone that's saying, I'm never satisfied. And you've got another hormone telling you to eat more. So when someone has got a lot of weight to lose, it is very, very a mental game. It's very hard for them. It's not just a case of like you and me will have some, piece of salmon and some vegetables. For us, that's kind of normal. For them, they look at that and think, I'm starving. I need a burger. I need fries. And literally their brain chemistry is telling them that they're hungry all the time.
Right.
It can be a nightmare for them. So for them, it's more of a mental battle. Like most people know the skill set. We need to eat less food, move your body. For them, it's a mindset problem. And it goes way beyond just eating a less food. It's years and years of reprogramming what they think about themselves and their beliefs and overcoming those hormones. Now, hormones won't make them fat themselves, but they'll drive behavior.
Right.
Like if you've got a hormone telling you you're hungry all the time, when you do genuinely get hungry, it's hard to ignore that. When you feel like you're starving.
Yeah.
You're not starving. You just, you've got hormones telling you you're hungry. For them, it's very hard to override that. It's hard to ignore. So it's a constant battle. But it's a very emotive subject for a lot of people, but misunderstood.
What I think is really great, though, about the fact that there are people like you who understand that, right? That it is so, even for someone who's healthy, recognizing like, hey, I'm actually not healthy, and then eventually changing things to the point where your body will just tell you, because you've become accustomed to just eating this way. Those hormones, they go away. Like they don't have to live with you for the rest of your life. And then you can manage them. Like it is possible, which
you're in control. Yeah,
exactly.
You're absolutely right. You're in control. We've all got those hormones, but it's whether you, through your choices and whether that's physical or mental, you decide whether you want to switch them on to a certain extent.
Right. And I'll touch on the water thing. That was another element when I was working out with that trainer who had me eating all this food. So eventually I stopped working out with her and I started doing more of like, my own, what my body wanted. Right. I was eating the way that my body wanted to eat. I was doing a different like HIIT workout, but I started drinking a gallon of water a day. And that is when everything changed. That's when I was less stressed. My body wasn't producing cortisol the way it was before. Yeah. So water is a game changer.
Game changer.
Absolutely.
Because when we're dehydrated, we actually store more water, which sounds a bit counterintuitive.
I know it does. It's very hard to understand that.
Yeah, very hard to understand. The body thinks, hang on, I need to store this because I don't want to get rid of it. So it will hold on. And that's when people get bloated, particularly women.
Yes.
At different times of the month. And women generally, it's very hard for them. By actually having that in a gallon, you must be peeing all day long on a gallon.
Oh, sure. But I am one of those women, so I mentioned the first thing that happened to me when I started following this person's diet was my shoulders puffed up. So my body naturally holds the water here. I have like a swimmer build, right? So I am a water retainer, big time. But now that I drink more water, yes, I go to the bathroom more frequently, but I do not retain water. Like I don't have it in my arms. Like if I go on an airplane, I know right away I get puffed up instantly.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
face gets bigger. So I am that person. So I think anyone who's listening that is maybe a woman, I think we have it more. If you're feeling that, you start drinking more water and watch what
100%.
happens.
100%. And from a male perspective, but mostly female perspective, they're
Yeah.
interested in the quality of their skin. Water
Right.
is, we all, ladies spend a fortune on all these different creams from the outside. Think
Right.
about hydration and treating your skin from the inside.
Right.
What we take in is going to have a much bigger effect on, rather than having a bad diet and be dehydrated. You watch your skin change when you're hydrated.
Yeah.
You'll know from personal experience, the bags under your eyes go,
Right.
the quality of your skin, the complexion changes, you look brighter. It's one of these things like sleep. It's free,
It's
you get
free.
water, but we ignore it. It's almost like people want to spend a fortune all these different treatments when sleep, water, and quality nutrition you can just go and do, but they're neglected by many people, not
Right.
everyone, many.
Right. It's we need to get back to basics,
Yeah,
It's that simple. So I just want to ask you one other thing.
sure.
So we talk a lot about women and weightlifting. And I see so many amazing looking women who have, overcome major weight loss and turn to, doing this weightlifting type of routine for their exercise. And they look incredible. And they talk about how, women won't be manly if they weight lift. So I want to talk about my experience again with weightlifting. And when I was doing the heavy weights, I got massive in a very unattractive way. So can you clarify
When
this
you
for
when
us?
you say massive though, what do you mean by massive? How much weight did you actually put on?
So I think it was more, I was no longer able to fit into my dresses. And when I put on a dress, I felt so uncomfortable in my own
Yeah.
skin. I was just like walking around like I was a heavy weight lifter, and it was
How much
mainly,
did you put on? How much weight did you put on?
I'm not clear on the weight aspect. It was more size. It's almost like I weighed the same as I weigh now, but I'm a completely different shape now. So I'm not clear. It's probably a good 10 pounds. So do you think it was just the food, or can we talk about your opinion on women and weights?
It's good. Now, if you actually genuinely bulked up and it was real
Yes.
muscle, if you did, Steph, I need to know what you did because I've been trying to do that myself for 30 years. So I'm going to call you out here.
I'll tell
It
you, it was
wasn't it, it
painful.
it wasn't muscle. It was a little bit of muscle and probably body fat with it. Now, what will happen? This is what happens with a lot of women. Remember I said about the testosterone? It's
Mhm.
really hard for men to put muscle on. It's extremely hard for ladies. What happens though is then if you overeat, and it sounds like you were massively putting the calories in, you're going to put a little bit of muscle on, but a lot of body fat, and then it gives you that bulky look, right? If you said you put 10 pounds on, probably the majority of that was fat and some of it was muscle. So the best thing to do from a woman's perspective with weight training is not to shy away from it, but just to control the calories, keep the protein high, but keep the calories low, and do heavy weight training. And what that will do for the vast majority of women, 99%, it will build a little bit of muscle. It will change your shape in a nice way. You'll get stronger. There's ladies I train, I want them to get strong. When they get strong, that's when they get that. I actually wrote a blog post saying, train like a man to look like a woman.
Right.
But it is one of the biggest myths. And what you've just
It
said,
is.
I've heard many times over. But what actually happened is you put probably a couple of pounds of muscle on. And if you'd not put the fat on, you would have had that shape and the look that most women desire.
Right.
Because if you're 125 pounds, if you got to 135, over what time period was that? That 10 pounds you put on, how long?
That's the thing, is it was very fast. And I knew I was stressed, because again, I had added meat in. So I had all
Yeah,
these new hormones, and I could tell that I was super stressed. So there was the
sure.
cortisol level. I'd say it was over like a 4 or 5 month period of time.
Okay, so if that was muscle, and I'm playing devil's advocate
Yeah.
here, if it was muscle, by putting 10 pounds of muscle on, you would be in the top 1%.
Yeah. It
Not,
wasn't
not,
just muscle.
not women, not just women,
Human.
for men in the world being a
Right.
natural athlete. Because I would love to put 10 pounds of muscle on it. Like, it was body fat and water and a
Yeah.
little bit of muscle.
Yeah.
And all it was is you just took in far too many calories. You didn't need that many calories, probably didn't need that much protein. Being 125, if you got 100 grams of protein a day,
Yeah.
that would be more than enough to get you lean, strong, fit, and slim. You did too many calories, the wrong type of training, maybe very heavy compound lifts, and you bulked up. But what bulk was majority of fat and water and a little bit of muscle. And what happens is that if a woman doesn't understand that, they then think, I put 10 pounds of muscle on, so weight training makes you build big muscles. It doesn't, because if I could put 10 pounds of muscle on now, I need the secret.
Right.
I've been trying to do this for 30 years. It's very hard for men to even do that. But
Right.
I get that myth of bulking up. What actually happens is that they overeat, body fat, water, hormones, gives you that puffy, that bulky look and as soon as you try jeans on or a dress and you're one size bigger, in your head, it seems like you're 5 sizes bigger.
Right. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
you
It's
know,
very
so
uncomfortable.
it's a slight myth for a lot of women, but you can bulk up, as in put a lot of weight on, if you just eat far too many calories.
Right.
So
So
if
it's
I was, it's just reduce the calories,
right.
keep the protein high, and then you won't bulk up. You just get strong and lean.
Right. And it's also then I think the bottom line here for this entire discussion is know that you can count on what your body is telling you once you get to a certain point. But when you're really overweight, you cannot count on what your body is telling you. Know when to know what your body is doing.
Well, someone's 300 pounds, they're trapped.
Yep.
It's depressing. They don't like themselves. So
Yeah.
the vicious cycle where they're overeating to make them feel happy. And once they've overeaten, they feel really sad. So what do? They go and eat more.
Eat again. Yep.
And not everyone. And some people use other vices. Some people
Yeah.
use drugs. Other people do drink. If you look at anyone that's addicted to anything, food, alcohol, cigarettes, maybe not cigarettes, because you're not like you're masking things in life. That's just a normal addiction. But if someone's an alcoholic, they're usually trying to cover up for some lacking in an area of life. Not always, but usually. If someone's addicted to cocaine, there's a hole they're filling, right? If someone's 300 pounds, they're using that food as their crutch. They know they need to eat less, yet they come in every night after work and they stuff their face. They're not bad people. Anyone that's listening to this, I'm not slagging you off because you're overweight. I work with you guys all the time. I'm just saying how your mind works. And again, not everyone. So you've got to be very careful these days. The fact that I have to keep saying I'm not talking to you.
I know.
But
we have to be sensitive because we're in a sensitive time. But I think what you do overall and helping people to understand that it is the mindset and that you are being controlled by the mindset is
absolutely
massive.
Everything controls that.
Right.
Everything.
And you're adding so much to the world because I think what we're dealing with here is more than a virus, since we are currently in a pandemic. We are in a health crisis. And I think more people need to be aware of how the body works and what we can do to be better and be healthier.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely. Yeah. Whereabouts are you based, Steph?
I'm in Miami.
Oh, so you've been up for Florida's been open all the time, hasn't it, really?
We have, but I haven't been. I mean, I think there are people who are here and they're spring breaking and they're doing these things. And there are the people who are locals who have hardly, been to a restaurant, right? I've been a couple times. We always wear our mask, so we're just trying to minimize the chaos, I guess, a little bit.
Sure.
Nobody knows what's going on,
The problem with in the States is that every state is different, isn't it? Like Florida, because there was a few events that I follow that were meant to be held in Las Vegas, obviously Nevada.
Yeah.
They were moved to Florida because you guys were open. And that's part of the problem. You've got people just cross-sectioning over different states. Fortunately, the UK is so small, it's small. I think it's about the size of Florida.
Yeah. Florida is pretty small. That's what I was just going to say is it's not so great that we have so many things that people are coming to here because we're a small little place, so it spreads fast if it is going to spread. But if you're healthy, I guess you're okay, because I never got it. Did you ever
No,
get it? Yeah, I never got
no, I know a couple of clients have had that have been okay.
it. Yeah,
Um, but I think, yeah, you'll get the odd person that says, well, this guy was 30 and he was no under health conditions. But that's just a one in, if
right.
we look at 99% of the people, they're super elderly, very sick to start with, or obese. And with a 90, is it 97 or 98% recovery rate?
Yeah.
We don't want to talk, we don't want to go off on a
Yeah, no.
tangent here, but I
No.
think, I personally think we've been duped to a certain extent.
Right.
I'm not saying it's not a thing. It absolutely is. And if anyone that's died or had relatives that have been sick and ill and died, I absolutely feel for them. I do. But I think we've been fed, I think it's been over reported negatively, and it's caused chaos in the world.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
if we look after our health, we can stop this. Yeah, we can.
Right. Well, maybe this will also help us shift our mindset to actually what's really going on with
Yeah,
everybody's health. And maybe we'll become a little bit healthier after all this.
absolutely.
I hope so. Well, Gav,
I
thank
hope
you
so
so much
too.
for being on. This was such a
No,
great conversation.
no, thank you for having me on.